We can see there's a lot of fails on this driving test marking sheet. Let's break it down and see what happened. In this video, we're going to start from the bottom and work our way up. So the very first thing we're on here is the Turnabout, and we see they failed their driving test for competency. So competency basically means, can you turn the vehicle around in a competent manner? That means, can we do it within 3 or 5 moves, and it has to be really smooth with the controls. So the reasons why you can be marked for competency in the Turnabout will be for hitting or mounting the kerb, inadequate progress, excessive speed, or improper use of the controls. To get a grade 3 for competency in the Turnabout usually means that they've hit or mounted the kerb, they've done it in over 5 moves, or it was just really messy with the controls. Next we see they picked up 1 grade 2 for observation in the Turnabout. So observation in the Turnabout is pretty simple. When you start moving, we're supposed to be looking right and left, up and down the road as we're completing the manoeuvre. When we go into reverse, we're still supposed to be looking right and left, but as we're reversing, we're supposed to look over our left shoulder, out the back window. So the reason why people generally get marked for observation on the Turnabout is they usually miss the first observation looking right and left when they first start the manoeuvre. They usually start the manoeuvre and just look ahead instead of looking right and left. Another reason why you could be getting marked for observation on the Turnabout is when you're reversing, not looking over your left shoulder, out the back window. It also says in the RSA marking sheet guidelines that use of the cameras is acceptable provided you're doing all the other correct observation. Next we see that they failed their driving test for right of way in the Turnabout. So this is where it gets really confusing. When you're completing the manoeuvre, as you're looking right and left, up and down the road, if we see another car coming, we're supposed to stop. And when the other car stops, that's when we would continue the manoeuvre. That's what I was taught anyway. And I asked Joe the same question in Raheny test route number 5, and he also says the same. So who has right away here, Joe, if a car does come?
The car has priority. If he stops, we make eye contact, and if he stops, we can keep going. If he doesn't, we have to leave him.
Good man, great advice. However, I did have an incident a few years ago where a student done exactly that, and the tester said that in that scenario they should have kept going because we had right of way because we were in the middle of the road. So in this scenario, you're kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't. You don't know what the tester is thinking at the time, but if you ask my opinion, I would stop. When the other road user stops, then you complete the manoeuvre. Click this box above to see the full video of the Turnabout. Next we're into the reverse around the corner, and we see they picked up a grade 3 and failed their test for competency and observation. So competency basically means, can you reverse around the corner, keeping reasonably close to the footpath at a reasonable speed and making it smooth with the controls. So the reasons why you could fail your driving test for competency would be for hitting or mounting the kerb, going way too slow or way too fast, or not being smooth with the controls. It also says in the marking sheet guidelines, if the vehicle is seriously out of position, that would also be a grade 3. So to fail your driving test for competency, it usually means that they've completely made a mess of it, went way too wide, or hit or mount the kerb. Next we see that they also failed their driving test for observation. So when you're doing the reverse around the corner, when we're reversing back in a straight line, yes we'd be checking our mirrors, but we also have to be looking over our left shoulder, out the back window. Also, when we start to steer, we do the same observation. We're checking our mirrors on the back window, but we also have to look out our blind spot about 3 or 4 times as we reverse around the turn. So the reasons why you could fail your driving test for observation will be for doing 0 observation whatsoever and just looking in your left mirror, or as you're reversing back, if you're doing the correct observation and we see another road user coming from behind, we're supposed to show the tester that first of all we've seen the other road user come from behind and we're supposed to stop. If on the other hand you're doing the correct observation and you see a car or another road user come from behind and we continue to reverse back as they pass, the tester will fail you for right of way, because when we see another road user approach from behind, we're supposed to stop as they pass. To see a more detailed video on the reverse around the corner, click this box above. If you want to see a ton of bonus videos where I break down the full RSA marking sheet, please join the YouTube membership. You will be supporting the channel to help us make bigger and better videos. So next we can see we're onto speed, and they picked up 2 grade 2s, 1 for traffic conditions and 1 for speed limit. So traffic conditions means that they were going way too fast with the amount of traffic on the road. So imagine this, you're driving along, it's rush hour traffic, oncoming traffic is coming towards us, there's cars parking to the left. In this case, if it's really built up, you would be expected to ease off as you come through, even if you are going the speed limit. So just remember, if it does seem really built up and busy, ease off slightly, especially if it's a narrower gap you're driving through. Next we see they also picked up a grade 2 for speed limits. That simply means that they just went way too fast. Usually it happens in the 30. They're into third, they press the gas too hard and they just go above the speed limit. Next we're into vehicle controls and we see they picked up 2 grade 1s for secondary controls. So remember, you will be asked to demonstrate these before you start your driving test, whether it's where's your fog lights, how would you wash your windscreen, where's your demisters. So in this case they probably got a couple of them wrong before the test. To get a second mark for secondary controls, they were probably driving along, it was probably raining, the tester probably felt they should have turned on the wipers sooner, or there was condensation starting to build up on the windows and they could have demisted them sooner. Next we see they actually failed their driving test and picked up a grade 3 for accelerator. So this is a first, I've never seen this before, so let's have a look at the RSA marking sheet guidelines and see what happened. So we can see here it says not applied properly or at the correct time or excessive use. The last part of the marking sheet guidelines says excessive use. So I'm guessing here, but I do always say one mark will follow another. I would say you were driving along and it was busy. The traffic conditions were suggesting that it was busy, and for some reason they pressed really hard on the accelerator, which meant they were going too fast for the traffic conditions, but also broke the speed limit. So that could potentially explain the other 2 marks that we just spoke about. It also says in the marking sheet guidelines, applied at the incorrect time or incorrect use. This possibly meant that they were on a hill, the tester felt the car needed more gas, and the car rolled back instead of pressing the gas to propel the car forward. So a few reasons for that. I'd like to know more about that one. Next we see they picked up a grade 2 for progress moving off. This simply means the tester felt they were way too slow getting the car going when it was safe to do so. Remember folks, I do like to use Gosho. If you don't know what Gosho is, just click the box above and watch the full video. We also see they picked up 1 grade 1 for progress at roundabouts. That's not the end of the world. The tester felt that they were a little bit too slow getting the car going, but it wasn't that bad and they only gave him a grade 1 mark. Next we see they picked up a grade 2 for signals on roundabouts. That could be a number of different things there. It could have been not exiting left as you exit the roundabout, or when they go straight through, signal right on approach. There's a lot of different reasons why it can be marked for that. If you want to see a full video for roundabouts, you can click this box here. This video will be really long, so I'm going to break it down into 2 parts. So this is part 1. In a few days, part 2 will be here. Also, if you have your test soon, you can watch this playlist here with all your signs and questions. Best of luck.